So we're interacting for the first time in this batch. So before we begin, I'll introduce myself. My name is Hardik Dixit. I'm professionally and otherwise based at Bharuch. It's in Gujarat. I did my schooling from UP board. I was at Bareilly. I did my intermediate from there, and then graduation, BSc chemistry, and post graduation in IT and HR. I was associated with two big multinationals. One was Enercon India Limited. It was a German multinational in the field of manufacturing wind turbines, WCs, wind energy converters. And second was Anchor Electricals and Panasonic Life Solutions. I'm associated with YSI for human resource management, and along with Archana ma'am, I take you through with some of the topics. My family includes my wife, so she's a teacher, and two children, Yahavi and Amog. The daughter is elder one, she's in 9th standard, and the son is younger one, he's in 3rd standard. For almost 22 years, I had been into a corporate and then into training and development in other verticals. I also have a YouTube channel wherein I post some of the interactions that I have with industry HR senior members, just for the learning purpose. Write sometimes and fond of music, some old songs. I love watching plays. Less of the movie in theater now, but otherwise I do like that as well. Time does not permit now. So that's about me. If quickly, we can know each other. Who you are, where are you from, what do you do, why here? Anyone can start.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Myself Apurva, and I was born in Balia, Uttar Pradesh, but I have been brought up into Varanasi as my mummy is working, so her posting is here only. And sir, currently I'm pursuing my BA honors in geography from Vasanta College for Women, which is an affiliation to Banaras Hindu University, and I am also pursuing French diploma. And with that, I have also pursued the professional and life skills course from YSI. So I am a certified professional. And this course I am pursuing to add a dimension to my personality, since it is people oriented. So yes, for that reason. And yes, sir, and my aim in my life, I'm aspiring to get into civil services. So yes.
So all the best for that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, who's next?
Good evening, sir. My name is Tripti Dubey. I belong from the area, UP, and I am pursuing my graduation in philosophy honors from VKM, and also I am preparing for UPSC CDSC examination.
Okay, so I'm interacting with future IAS and IFS. Okay, great. All the best.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Yeah.
I'm Garvita Deshodia. I'm from Delhi, and I am BCom graduate. I've done my graduation from School of Open Learning, and I am pursuing HR because it's people oriented, and we get to see many people. And my hobbies are yoga.
Okay.
And I'm also preparing for CAT exam.
Okay. All the best.
Hello, sir. I'm Vanshika. Am I audible?
Yeah, Vanshika, very much.
Yeah, I'm from Jamshedpur, Jharkhand, and currently I'm pursuing English honors. I'm in third year in BCW, which is in affiliation to BHU, and also I'm preparing for CAT. And I'm into fitness. I also like listening to music, and my family includes 3 people: mom, dad, and me.
Great, great. Yes, Prerna ji, aap hi baki रहेगी.
Hi, sir. I'm Prerna. So currently, I'm doing a job with an event management company, which is in Gurgaon.
Okay.
Earlier, I used to work there as an event executive, and later on, I shifted my post from the event executive to HR executive. So, along with pursuing this course, I am doing jobs simultaneously. And before that, I have done post graduation diploma in event management and marketing. And like uh, before that, I did my graduation from Delhi University Lady Irvine College. I did graduation in food and nutrition. So that's my educational background. And talking about my family, so I have 5 people in my family, including me, mother, father, and 2 brothers. So yeah, that's the brief introduction.
Great. So, what all things you covered so far? If you talk about this learning, क्या सीख लिया?
Sir, giving interview, then jam sessions also we have done, and the most recently training and development is also done. And yes, sir, training and development till there we have done.
Diversity and inclusion.
Diversity,
that's it.
inclusion, training and development. Okay. What else?
Onboarding
Hiring and
process.
sourcing also we have done.
Talent acquisition cycle.
Okay.
Manpower planning.
Manpower planning. Okay. How do you define? See, we will come to the topic in a while, but just set the context and we understand each other. How do you define HR as a field in any organization? Is it only people's, it is only people's service? How do you define?
Sir, HR can be defined as or can be, yes, can be defined as a backbone of an organization, because it is the HR who is bringing in the employees. It is the HR who is training them. It is the HR who is motivating them, or giving them a platform to keep improving and keep giving maximum to the organization. So yes, sir, according to me, it is a backbone.
Any other perspective? Okay, how this entire HR things evolved over a period of time? Any idea? How it came into being? जो HRM आप वर्ड यूज करते हो, ये इसका प्रादुर्भाव कहाँ से हुआ? इसकी उत्पत्ति कहाँ से हुई? How this entire thing have came into a shape that you are learning today? What could have been the reason of having anything like this?
Sir, maybe the workers would be sitting, like workers' potential won't be utilized, might not be utilizing to the fullest. So for that reason, and also people might not be able to identify also that what else are their potential, except from their mainstream, whatever they are taking forward. So for that reason, sir, maybe.
Okay, so HR is Jamwant. हनुमान को उनकी शक्ति पता नहीं है, तो हम जाके उनको याद दिलाएंगे कि तुम कूद सकते हो और लंका जा सकते हो. Is it so? Okay, what else? What else? There is no wrong answer, So anything that we think or perceive about any subject, it's not a wrong answer, right? For any industry, for any organization, may it be in manufacturing, service, anything. What is more important? Production. Whether you are motivated or not motivated, you need to produce, that's all.
But sir, who will produce?
Sorry?
Who will do the work? Who will do the work?
So you all say there is a lot of unemployment, people are available, job nahi hai. You get people, no? So see, this entire thing have evolved over a period. It has came into being gradually. हम आज जो HR देख रहे हैं, this was not this since beginning, है ना? Today we talk about a lot of things, as you said, motivation, or someone said welfare, or HR is a people's department. I like interacting with people, therefore I am in HR. That is a general connect. Why I want to go into HR? Because I assume that it's the department where I have the freedom to interact with people, right? Yeah, मेरा people skill अच्छा है, इसलिए मेरे लिए HR अच्छा department है. मैं अच्छा बोल सकता हूँ या अच्छा बोल सकती हूँ. So then HR तो department ऐसे है जहाँ खाली बोलना ही है. But that's not the case now. See, it has evolved over a period of time. There was industrial revolution, and from there, gradually things came into place that we should think about people, we should think about individuals, human beings, and they're not the machines. The people working in the plant are not the machines. There are certain basic requirements for everyone, for at least working comfortably, if it is not extraordinary. Everybody cannot work in Google, or every company cannot provide all those benefits and facilities what Google or Oracle provides. But then there has to be some basic fundamental requirements that must be fulfilled. Okay. So industrial revolution after World War II, a lot of things started happening across the globe. And then there was a need. It was felt that there has to be someone to look after people at least. Everybody is looking after manufacturing, everybody is looking after business, everybody is looking after everything else. But there has to be something or someone who need to look after the production and people as well. So there the need was felt that there has to be one contact or one connect in between who can take care and look after the human asset in any organization. So HR now today is working in various aspects and various ways and means. Just to see, in 1760 before Christ BC, the concept of human resource management was in place. Okay, not as structured as today, not as documented as today, but then yes, there were certain things which was there. The Code of Hammurabi, which was a Babylonian legal text. It was inscribed on a paper, on a stone, where there were around 282 rules. अभी हम कई बार सुनते हैं ना कि भाई खून खून के बदले खून, आंख के बदले आंख, हाथ के बदले हाथ, right? So that way there were certain rules were established. So policing, administration, the way of life, the way of living, or societal concept, it is age is old. So in 1760 BC, this thing was in place, which was rediscovered in 1901. And this spoke about punishments. Largely, this spoke about punishments, that in case of any theft or unlawful practice, there could be punishment, just to ensure that there will be discipline in the society. And that is how your HR functions today in the organization, building up the policies, ensuring compliances, setting up the acts and laws, and then ensure that everybody follows it. So this is how it all came into being. In 1850, Industrial Revolution took place. And then in 1911, it was the first appointment of labor officers for grievance handling. So jahan log hai, wahan mach hai. When there are people, there has to be, difference of opinion, issues, conflicts. There has to be, there will be grievances. घर में 4 लोग होते हैं तो भी खटपट होती है ना. तुम पढ़ते नहीं हो, तुम सुबह उठते नहीं हो, ये सब चलता रहता है दिन भर, सुबह से शाम तक. Right. So to look into all these labor related matters, in 1911, the first labor officers were appointed. Then it happens sometimes we form a group, when you go to the college or in the schools, you form a group, right? There are like-minded people who come together and then they always like each other's company. है ना? कैंटीन में साथ में जाएंगे, क्लास साथ में बंक करेंगे, नहीं जाना तो साथ में नहीं जाएंगे, पिक्चर साथ में जाएंगे. So they form a group. Even to ask the questions to the teacher or principal or professor, they all go together, झुंड बना के, प्रेशर देने के लिए, तो सुनना ही पड़ेगा. So similar things started happening in the organizations as well, that people started coming together, forming the groups, just to raise their grievances or issues or concerns. And then it started, it gave the birth to trade unions. So trade unions, they came in being in 1926, wherein people will come together, form an association, and then this entire group or association will negotiate with the management, will negotiate with the company administrations or the management on various areas. Okay, it may be compensation, it may be facility, it may be work conditions or anything. Right. Then in 20th century, Taylor gave a scientific theory that that gave the birth to the reward and recognition kind of things. कि आप काम के साथ में अगर इनाम जोड़ देंगे तो लोगों की प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ने लगेगी. All these things were happening out of the India, and today also we do all these things, isn't it? आपके यूनिट टेस्ट में अच्छे मार्क्स आएंगे, your parents will appreciate. They'll take you out, आइसक्रीम खिलाएंगे, बाहर घुमाने ले जाएंगे. So that will be an effort to ensure that you score, extraordinary in your finals. Right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. समझ में नहीं आएगा तो पूछ लेना है. One way जैसा नहीं. So anything, if you miss anything in between, you are allowed to ask. So Taylor gave a theory that if you attach a reward with your efforts or results, it will increase the productivity. है ना? खाना वाना बनाते हो घर में आप लोग? You cook? Anybody? No.
Sir, I
Sometimes,
cook in
sometimes.
my
You
PG.
cook. Okay, okay. So अगर कभी खाने में सब्जी में दाल में नमक ज्यादा पड़ गया तो
तो सर आटा डाल देते हैं, it absorbs the नमक.
what is the reaction?
The reaction is bad, of course, if someone else eats it.
है ना, अगर नमक ज्यादा पड़ गया है, कोई खाने बैठा है तो क्या करेगा वो? दिल कमेंट ना, क्या सब्जी खा रही है कि
Will be
दाल खा रही
angry.
है, रोटी जल गई है, चावल कच्चे रह गए हैं, isn't it? Okay, so when this thing happens, how do you feel?
Sir, unappreciated.
You feel upset.
Yes.
एक तो खाना भी बना है इन लोगों के लिए, ऊपर से ये सब भी सुनो।
Complain कर रहे हैं.
हाँ, कुछ तो कुछ करते नहीं है, सब मुझे करने का, सफाई भी, शॉपिंग भी, और बाद में सब्जी में नमक ज्यादा है, रोटी कच्ची है, जल गई है, सब भी सुनने का. Okay, how it affects next day?
That I make sure I don't put that much salt in the food.
So see, you become conscious, है ना?
Yes, sir.
And then you also feel irritated somehow. यार इतना करने के बाद भी साला सुनना तो पड़ेगा ही. Okay. Any day you prepared something which was not regular, something unusual. दही वड़े बनाए एक दिन, रोज रोटी सब्जी बनाते थे, आज दही वड़ा एक्सपेरिमेंट किया, अच्छा बन गया. People appreciated. How do you feel?
So then I'll feel good, of course, because they
You feel
appreciated
good.
it.
Okay. And what would be the reaction?
My reaction?
Yeah, anybody, whoever is in this situation, what would be the reaction?
They will also praise me.
They'll praise. What will happen to you?
Yes, sir. We'll start we'll fix that. Okay, now every weekend I'll make some other dishes to
Correct,
get
correct,
those
correct.
appreciations.
है ना? So with that appreciation, you would feel, I can experiment. People are open. I can experiment, and I'm a good cook. I can make better things. है ना? So next time you may try have two things in combination. So dahi vada with gulab jamun. Right? So any appreciation, when it is connected with your efforts, increases the productivity. That was what Taylor has said, okay, long back. And that is almost true in almost all aspects. And then the concept of time and motion study came into play. So now a word, time and motion. This is a study which says that what could be the ideal time to complete a given task. So time and motion. We all cook, but we all take different time to cook the same recipe. So what could be the standard time? How you can standardize this? So everybody, whosoever is working, what are the total steps in this entire process? How much time every individual is taking? And then what could be the minimum? So Taylor proposes time and motion studies. So with all these things, there came in being the welfare department, then labor and industrial relationships. So relation between employer, employee, management people. And then gradually it came to personal management, where employee was an individual, his data was captured, attendance and all these things. And today, looking to the business requirement, we reached to a concept called human resource management. And it was personal management. From there, we came into human resource management. So just a glimpse on how this entire thing came into picture or came into being, from where it was and now what it is. So जैसे जैसे काम बढ़ता गया, लोग बढ़ते गए, ऐसे ऐसे issues बढ़ते गए, जैसे जैसे issues बढ़ते गए, वैसे वैसे नए नए rules and regulations आते गए. Okay, and all these rules and regulations or the acts, they came in being just to ensure the working environment or working conditions remains healthy and safe Okay, so if there is a dispute, where it would be resolved. If there's a factory to be established, how it is to be established, right? Then to educate people on human resource concepts, institutions started falling in place. है ना? So Xavier and Indian Institute of Personnel Management and National Institute of Personnel Management, they were the first premier institute that came into being in the field of HR. Okay. And gradually, the focus shifted from individual to group, from productivity to development. And today we work in an environment where the concept of HRBP, Human Resource Business Partner. अभी जो रोल आते हैं ना HR में, उसमें एक रोल है HRBP, Human Resource Business Partner. मैडम ने भी आपको SHRM कराया होगा ना, Strategic Human Resource Management, है ना? So there are operational things, there are strategical things, but it was not the same when it all started. तो जब शुरुआत हुई तो खाली लोगों को अच्छी तरह से काम कर सके, ठीक ठाक जगह मिले, साफ सुथरी एनवायरनमेंट हो, ये सब था. बट ग्रेजुअली it came from operational to strategical level. So if you see this table, how it all developed or evolved. So initially it was only welfare management. Then it came to industrial relation and personal administration. Then came the, human values, dignity, usefulness, code of conduct. Then came development, counseling, coaching, mentoring, problem solving, change agent. Change agent, because of the globalization, a lot of multinationals started coming into country. Okay. So one has to change. एक Indian origin company है, उसको कोई multinational take over करेगा, everything will change. Yeah. So this change management, उसके लिए भी आपको एक department या एक area चाहिए. And then, as we are talking today, it is all about human resource business partner, HRBP. Because we talk about strategies, we talk about innovation, we talk about analysis, right? So just a brief how it entire thing has came into being. Okay. And screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
So you, by now, you have covered some softer aspects of human resource management, which talks about manpower planning. Okay, which talks about learning and development, which talks about performance appraisal. Performance management system पे कुछ बात किया मैडम ने? Yes or no?
Succession theory is a part of performance management, right?
Sort
So,
of, yeah.
yeah, so that was discussed.
Okay. And so all these areas, they are developmental areas of human resource management. At the same time, being in HR, HR is also a custodian. In any organization, HR is also a custodian to ensure that the working condition, working environment are healthy. And for that, enforcing laws is also HR's responsibility in most of the organization. Compliance is also a part of human resource management. Okay. So today, tomorrow, and maybe the next class, we will cover some of the laws that you should remember. Too early for you, all these things. However, you must know which law is applicable for what purpose. है ना? Actual implication and implementation will be when you will be working in the field at the office. But still, you should know some basic concepts of certain labor laws. That will be helpful, right? So, Constitution is the apex book in India, right? To govern or to ensure the law and order. है ना? Parliament से लेके आपके घर तक anything and everything is been mentioned in the Constitution of India. Okay. So in Indian Constitution, there is a provision that certain states and center can form acts and laws and rules for effective operation, and to maintain the law and order, right? So we'll cover this topic, labor laws, in these 3 sessions, today, tomorrow, and day after, whenever next we'll be having. Any idea about all these things you are learning? You have heard somewhere? Do you read newspaper? Aware about current affairs?
Yes, sir.
Yes, no? All future IAS, IPS, IFS?
Yes, sir. We have heard.
You have heard, okay. So, as of now, there are many labor laws which are applicable to the organization or industries world across India. Okay. So there are Act, okay, Kanun, and then there are rules. So rules are how, Act is what. क्या करना है, कैसे करना है, that is Act. क्या करना है is an Act. और कैसे करना है is a rule. Okay. So Act is generally central act in most of the cases. And rules can be state specific. Or there will be provision in the Act that would say that, respective states or appropriate government can form rules under this Act to make it more specific. है ना? So in your school or college, there may be certain disciplinary parameters. Timings are fixed. Class timings are fixed. Any indiscipline is not tolerated. There will be punishment. Right?
Yes, sir.
So any board, maybe CBSE, Central Board, NCERT, your university, whosoever, they will have some standard guidelines. At the same time, within that university, each college will have its own rules and regulations. Syllabus is given by GTU, universities. Okay. And then respective college is asked to complete the syllabus. So the colleges will have their own timetable. They will have their own criteria of selecting professors, teachers and professors. So that's how the Act and rule works. So there are around 44 or 49 acts which are as of now applicable to various industries and establishments who are into business. Okay. Now what is factory, what is establishment, we will just cover gradually. But at the same time, currently there is a development going on where these acts will be merged together, they'll be clubbed together, and there'll be 4 codes. There'll be 4 codes, they're labor codes, okay, which will be covering all these 44 or 49 acts. So different acts will come together and there'll be one rule book across India. Okay, so there'll be 4 labor codes: the Code on Wages 2019, Industrial Relation Code 2020, Code on Social Security 2020, and Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code 2020. So these 4 codes will cover 44 or 49 acts, okay, within itself. So Code on Wages talks about remuneration part. Industrial Relation Code will speak about punishments and actions related to industrial relationship dispute. Code on Social Security talks about post-retirement, how an individual will get benefit. What are the other social securities being in the employment or after employment? And Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code. This will cover about safety and environment and working condition of the individuals. Okay, these codes primarily have been passed, however, not yet gazetted. So any act first gets discussed in the parliament. Okay, so there is a central committee, they decide on what is to be kept. Then it is discussed in the parliament in both the houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Once it is cleared from the parliament, goes to president for endorsement. Once president gives okay or consent, then it comes into gazette for implementation. Okay, so these 4 codes, they have been discussed, approved by parliament, okay, consented by honorable president. However, it is yet to be gazetted. So Code on Social Security is under consideration. Other 3 acts, I think, are have been consented but waiting for gazette. So once it is gazetted, it will be implemented. When it is implemented, it will override any other act or rules that would be in that code, right? Now, what all acts these codes cover? As I said, the Code on Wages, it will cover the act called Payment of Wages Act 1936. If you see, all these acts are around independence or before that. Code on Wages 1936, Trade Union Act 1926, Compensation Act 1923, करीब 100 साल पुराना कानून है ना? So the Code on Wages 2019, this will have 4 law or act in it. Payment of Wages Act 1936, the Minimum Wages Act 1948, the Payment of Bonus Act 1965, and the Equal Remuneration Act 1976. तो ये 4 कानून इकट्ठे होके एक कोड बनेगा, the Code on Wages. Okay, the Industrial Relation Code 2020 IR. So this will have 3 acts amalgamated in it: the Trade Union Act 1926, Industrial Employment Standing Order Act 1946, and Industrial Dispute Act 1947. Code on Social Security, Samajik Suraksha. So this will cover Employees Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provision Act 1952, Employees State Insurance Act 1948, Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, the Maternity Benefit Act 1961, and the Employees Compensation Act 1923. So these 6 acts would be amalgamated in Social Security. So this talks about benefits, maternity, compensation, right? Payment of Provident Fund, bonus, gratuity, and everything, right? So this is how this act will be amalgamated. And the 4th one, this is the largest act, Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code 2020, wherein the Factories Act 1948, the Mines Act 1952, Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act 1970, Interstate Migrant Workmen Regulation of Employment Conditions of Service 1979, और इसके अलावा ये कोर एक्ट ऐसे हैं जो आप जनरली हर इंडस्ट्रीज में फॉलो करते हैं. But then there are specific acts to the specific industry type, like Cine Worker and Cinema Theatre Workers Act. That is applicable only to the theatres and cinema because they are not industry, they are not factory. Okay, but then they are also governed under some rules or act. Then Dock Workers Act. तो जो लोग पोर्ट पे काम करते हैं, शिपिंग में काम करते हैं, उनके लिए भी कुछ ना कुछ कायदे कानून एप्लीकेबल. Building and other construction workers. It is non-organized sector. Plantation Labor Act, journalist and newspaper employees, fixation of rate of wages for journalists, Motor Transport Worker Act, Mine Act, BD and cigar, sales promotion employees. So various kind of employment are covered under this particular code called Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition. Okay, 2020. But all these codes are yet to be implemented. So जब तक ये implement नहीं होते तब तक जो existing act हैं, जो भी नाम इसमें भी हमने देखे, they will be applicable. Correct. So we will see some of these acts in our session, not all of them. Okay, just to give you a brief or a gist, so that you can also understand what these acts are, which act is applicable when and where, and how the modalities can be worked out, right? So we begin with the most important, the Factories Act. Factories Act 1948. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of this act? Any act that comes into being, है ना, कोई भी act अगर आता है, उसके पीछे कोई ना कोई रीजन होगा ना.
Yes, sir.
10 बजे तक घर में आ जाना, ऐसा बोलते हैं? बोलते ना? क्यों ऐसा बोलते होंगे? ऐसा कानून क्यों बनाना पड़ा घर में?
To ensure safety.
और why that act? What could be the objective or the purpose of that particular rule? 10 बजे के पहले घर आ जाना. I think there are two perspective of this. One is safety, you said, that is one purpose, and second is discipline. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So similarly for every act, ये जितने भी कायदे कानून बने हैं ना, उसके पीछे का कुछ ना कुछ रीजन है. What is the objective of Constitution?
Welfare of the people.
Sorry, come again.
Welfare of the Indian citizen.
Welfare of the Indian citizen, or
Sir, to reduce or stop the arbitrariness of the government. Like government doesn't act, or the ruling party doesn't act on its own, and it takes care of each and everybody's rights and all. So for that reason.
fine. So objective is to ensure that government operates under a given periphery. Yeah, what you said is correct. That अपनी मर्जी से काम ना करे. तो उसके लिए संविधान है जिसको आपको फॉलो करना है. This is how the entire bureaucracy will work. This is how the entire nation will run. That every 5 years government will change. आप अपनी मर्जी से नहीं बदल सकते हो. Your prime minister will be elected. है ना? Presidents will be elected. This is how the house will function. This is how the act will come in place. This is how your penalties, CPC, IPC will work. Right? So similarly, for every act, there is an objective. There is a basic purpose of that act. Okay. So if we talk about Factories Act, the objective of this act is not to stop anything, but to ensure that working condition in the factory are secure for people. है ना? किचन में खाना बनाते बनाते हाथ जल जाएगा, ऐसा अगर बार बार हो रहा है तो कुछ प्रिकॉशन लेना पड़ेगा ना. घर में शॉर्ट सर्किट होता है, अगर कहीं पे छोटा सा भी स्पार्क होता है तो लाइट ट्रिप हो जाता है. We put certain machineries, MCBs या ऐसा कुछ, so that if there is a short circuit, it will not affect the entire wiring, but it will trip, so that you can repair and again restart. So working condition in the factories, anybody who is working in a factory should have safe working condition. है ना? काम करने की जो परिस्थितियां हैं वो ठीक ठाक हो, अच्छी तो ठीक है, ठीक ठाक हो. So to secure working condition, to ensure basic minimum requirements for health, है ना? तो लोगों का स्वास्थ्य, हेल्थ ठीक रहे, वर्किंग कंडीशंस कैसे रहे, वेलफेयर, what facilities and benefits are available to the employees or are bare minimum, है ना? कम से कम इतना तो होना ही चाहिए. And then to regulate working hours, leave and holidays, employment of children, women and young persons. Okay, so the basic purpose, आप कोई भी एक्ट लेके देखेंगे ना, आप कोई भी एक्ट पढ़ोगे now onwards, तो you see the preamble, प्रीफेस बोलते हैं ना, किसी भी बुक के आगे एक समरी होता है, that why this particular book is, इसको लिखने के लिए मैंने क्या सोचा या इसको लिखने के बारे में क्यों सोचा, तो मेरी जिंदगी में ये घटनाएं हुई इसलिए मुझे लगा कि मुझे किताब लिखनी चाहिए ताकि लोगों को भी पता चले, है ना? So there is a preface. Similarly, in all acts there is a preamble. So the preamble is the gist of that act, why that act came into being. Okay, so that you will tell that why this act was required. पेमेंट ऑफ बोनस एक्ट क्यों बनाना पड़ा? तो हर जगह लोग अपनी अपनी मर्जी से देते थे, कोई देगा कोई नहीं देगा, कोई कम देगा कोई ज्यादा देगा, जिसके पास ज्यादा पैसा हो ज्यादा देगा, जिसके पास कम पैसा हो कम देगा. फैक्ट्रीज एक्ट क्यों बनाना पड़ा? हर फैक्ट्री में लोग अलग अलग तरह से काम करते हैं, किसी के लोग 8 घंटा काम करते हैं, किसी के 6 घंटा काम करते हैं, किसी के 10 घंटा काम करते हैं, है ना? अलग अलग टाइप का इंडस्ट्रीज है, कोई फैसिलिटी दे रहा है कोई नहीं दे रहा है. अब जो फैसिलिटी दे रहा है उसके लोग ज्यादा जाएंगे, तो जो नहीं दे रहा है उसके आदमी की शॉर्टेज पड़ेगी, काम अटकेगा. तो ये सब चीजों को स्ट्रीमलाइज या रेगुलराइज करने के लिए वन एक्ट वाज रिक्वायर्ड, एंड दैट एक्ट वाज द फैक्ट्रीज एक्ट 1940. 1940
48.
8 or 7?
1948.
1948, sir.
48,
48. Yes, sir.
Yes.
right? So आजादी के बाद का पहला कानून. Okay, but see, all these acts are also based on the previous old acts, which were there in the Britishers' rule. तो ऐसा कुछ खोज के बहुत तेज निकाला ऐसा नहीं है, but still they were customized and changed, and then there were amendments from time to time. There were amendments, changes in the act to incorporate the latest development, but still उसकी जो आत्मा है वो अभी भी वही है ना? The basic gist is still the same: working conditions, health, welfare, and working conditions. Okay. Now, what are the other legislations or acts which are related to safety, environment, and working conditions other than Factories Act? There are other acts: Indian Boilers Act 1923, Fatal Accident Act 1855, 150 साल पुराना, Indian Dock Labours Act 1934, Dock Workers Act 1948, and Mine Act 1952. So the Mine Act is especially for mine workers, Okay, not applicable to other industries, and Factories Act is not applicable to mines. Okay, we'll see the applicability now. So these are other legislations which speaks about safety, environment, and working conditions. So let's talk about the Factories Act. Today we cover this particular act. We complete this. It is a central legislation enforced by state government. So rules are made by state government. Act is a central act. So the Factories Act 1948 is a central act, but rules are made by respective states. They can form their own rules, okay, within the periphery of this act. If at all you think you need a break for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just let me know. Accordingly, we will proceed. समझ में आ रहा है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Interesting है?
Yes, sir.
तरीका ठीक ठाक है?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
भाषा,
yes, sir.
गति, language, speed, content is all comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So आम आदमी समझ सकता है?
Yes, sir.
हाँ जी सर.
Okay. तो I believe कि आप लोग भी समझ ही रहे हो. वो तो बाद में समझ आ जाएगा जब पूछेंगे सवाल. Okay. So 1948, the Factories Act, it was gazetted on 1st April 1949. है ना? But Act was approved in 48. Therefore, the Act is 1948. The Factories Act 1948. ये gazette हुआ 1st April 1949. So enforcement is from 1st April 1949. It is a social legislation, largely based on working condition and working hours. So जो working hours है वो बाद में amendment के बाद में लाया गया, but initially safety, health and welfare, it was a key focus areas for this act. For workmen, जो लोग काम करते हैं फैक्ट्री में, उनके लिए फैक्ट्री में काम करने की व्यवस्था ठीक ठाक हो, और अगर उनको उससे कोई तकलीफ होती है, ऑक्यूपेशनल हेल्थ कर इश्यूज हैं, तो उससे कैसे निपटा जाए. There are 11 chapters in this act and 120 provisions. Okay, so provisions are nothing but the sections. हम आईपीसी में पढ़ते हैं धारा 302, 307, ताजीरात हिंद. So same way, each act has sections. We call them provisions. Chapters are chapters. So each chapter will have specific provisions or specific sections, and then there is a rule based on each chapter and each section. Okay. This act empowers state to make rules to enlarge the scope and objective of this act. तो एक सेंट्रल एक्ट है, यूनिवर्सिटी से कुछ कायदे कानून है, बट यूनिवर्सिटी ऐसे भी बोलती है रिस्पेक्टिव कॉलेजेस को कि इसमें आप अपने हिसाब से और बेहतर कर सकते हो, नमक स्वादानुसार, है ना? You getting it? So this rule empowers every state to make it more, more strict or liberal, or define scope as per that state's specifications. वहाँ की डेमोग्राफी, वहाँ का वर्किंग एनवायरनमेंट, वहाँ का इंडस्ट्री टाइप, वहाँ का लेबर फोर्स, उसके हिसाब से उस रूल में थोड़े बहुत फेरबदल करना है तो आप कर सकते हो. ऐसा स्टेट को अथॉरिटी है. Rules are also amended from time to time. This extends to whole of India. Okay, now whole of India means there are certain acts. There are certain acts which are not applicable in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. कुछ acts ऐसे हैं जो जम्मू कश्मीर में applicable नहीं थे. Okay, however, this particular act is applicable or extended to whole of India. Now, Article 370 निकलने के बाद भी ऐसा नहीं कि सारे एक्ट वहाँ applicable हो गए होंगे. Okay, it again depends on the state legislation. Just give me a minute. So रुकावट के लिए माफी. Gabbar is back. Okay. So this act extends to whole of India. As I said, there are certain acts which are not applicable to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. तो वो उन respective acts में लिखा है कि ये acts कहाँ applicable है या कहाँ applicable नहीं है. So applicable, whole of India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir, ऐसा उसमें लिखा होगा. But this Factories Act is applicable to whole of India. It is applicable to the premises which comes under the term factory. Okay. तो हर वो जगह जो फैक्ट्री के अंदर आती है, फैक्ट्री की डेफिनेशन के तहत कवर होती है, उस हर जगह पे ये एप्लीकेबल है. ओके. नाउ व्हाट इज फैक्ट्री? एनी आइडिया?
So where something is produced.
Something is produced. Okay.
Yes, sir. The actual manufacturing is done over there.
Actual manufacturing is done. Or आपके मोहल्ले में एक साइकिल का दुकान, एक दुकान है जिसमें साइकिल के रिम आते ना, रिम, रिम, व्हील्स, स्पोक्स लगाए. तो वहां उस रिम में स्पोक फिटिंग का काम होता है. जो तिल्ली आती है ना बीच में, स्पोक्स, तो रिम में तिल्ली लगाने का काम होता है. Can it be a factory?
No, sir.
No. Okay. But then there is a manufacturing.
But not on a large scale. So.
Okay. आप आपके मोहल्ले के लिए पापड़ बेल बेल के बेचते हो. बीड़े मास्टर की तरह अचार पापड़ का काम है. तो फैक्ट्री है कि नहीं है? लार्ज स्केल है, अच्छा खासा कमा लेते हैं, मोहल्ले में सब लोग लेके जाते हैं, ऑर्डर्स पे बनाते हो.
No, sir.
No.
मे बी फैक्ट्री वो होता है सर जहाँ मतलब हम लोग सप्लाई भी करते हैं, नॉट टू कस्टमर्स बट टू मतलब दूसरे इंडस्ट्रीज को या फिर दूसरे फर्म्स और कंपनीज को, ना कि डायरेक्टली कस्टमर्स को.
ओके. ओके. Any other thought, Garvita?
Sir, any premise or pressings thereof where manufacturing and alteration of products take place to sell products to to make products not for personal use but to sell it to other persons or organizations.
Okay. So factory is a premise where 10 or more people with the aid of power or 20 or more people without the aid of the power are working and are engaged in manufacturing altering or any other processing is a factory. तो साइकिल के रिम में स्पोक लगाने के लिए अगर 10 से ज्यादा लोग बैठे हैं, है ना, सो इट्स अ प्रोसेस, इट्स अ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेस, व्हील मेकिंग प्रोसेस हो सकता है ये, ठीक है। और अगर वहां पर इलेक्ट्रिक सप्लाई है, चाहे वो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी हो या जनरेटर हो, है ना, वो कोयले वाला धोखनी देखा है ना?
Yes sir, TV में.
कोयला डाल के दे पंप इन, आग जलेगा, लोहा पीटते हैं, देखा ना? ओके, तो अगर ऐसा धोखनी भी 10 लगा दिया है, it becomes a factory. Okay, so factory is what? The definition of factory is, it's a premise where 10 or more workers on any day of preceding 12 months. पिछले 12 महीने में किसी भी दिन अगर लोगों की संख्या 10 या उससे ज्यादा है और उस प्रीमाइस को पावर सप्लाई इनेबल्ड है और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेस में इन्वॉल्व है, देन इट इज ए फैक्ट्री, है ना? तो स्केल इज नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट. एनी गृह उद्योग, कुटीर उद्योग, लिज्जत पापड़ का फैक्ट्री, small scale industries, but they are industries. There are a lot of factories. Or any premise where 20 or more workers on any day of the preceding 12 months अगर employed हैं, तो it's a factory. Okay. Now, the question for you is, we will discuss this tomorrow. The question is, what all things include manufacturing process? है ना? नंबर समझ में आ गया, 10 या उससे ज्यादा या 20 से उससे ज्यादा, पावर समझ में आ गया. ओके, बट ऐसी कौन कौन सी गतिविधियां हैं जिसको हम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेस में इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं या एक्ट में मेंशन है? Okay, so single slide. You all know each other?
Yes sir.
You all know
Yes,
each
sir.
other? Okay, so what you do, you all consult, because the act is one. तो ऐसा तो नहीं सब लोग अलग अलग सोचेंगे, है ना? रेफरेंस तो एक ही है ना? So you all will read the same reference. So having read the reference, you discuss among yourself and make only one slide which talks about what are the processes which are covered under the definition factory. And any one of you, share tomorrow. Okay. So you build a consensus. आप लोगों के बीच में आपस में तालमेल बना के नक्की कर लो कौन कल बोलेगा और बाकी लोग बोलने देंगे. Okay, so you discuss among yourself. You all have the number. There is a group also, so individually you can post on the group as well, but decide who will deliver, who will present. Okay, so what all things covered under manufacturing process? This becomes a question for tomorrow. Okay. Now, this act also empowers state government to declare all or any of the provision of the act to apply to any place with an objective to secure safety, health and welfare of workmen, even though the worker's strength is less than the above cited conditions. तो ये तो कायदे ने कह दिया कि 10 या ज्यादा लोग पावर के साथ में या 20 से ज्यादा लोग बिना पावर के अगर काम कर रहे हैं तो उस प्रीमाइस को फैक्ट्री माना जाएगा. लेकिन अगर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट चाहे तो कोई ऐसा काम जहां पर पावर एड नहीं है, 10 लोग ही काम कर रहे हैं, उसको भी वो लोग एज ए फैक्ट्री डिक्लेयर कर सकते हैं, दैट पावर इज विद द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, राइट? इज इट क्लियर?
Yes, sir.
प्रेरणा,
Yes, sir.
साउंड लुक्स डिसोरिएंटेड, क्या चल रहा है पता नहीं. Okay, you are working with an event management company, right?
Yes.
Will that be a factory?
Uh,
20 or more people with power? It's a premise, there is a building. है ना? Premise is what? It's a structure
yeah.
covered by fence by any means, a piece of land. So you have 20 or more people. I'm sure power is also there. So is it a factory?
Oh, as per the definition, yes, it is.
Okay.
But it's a
लगता नहीं ना, फैक्ट्री से लगता नहीं, ऑफिस है साहब,
हाँ.
है ना, मस्त एसी में बैठते हैं हम, सब कुछ. Again, with number and power, there is another clause called manufacturing process. है ना? So since you're not making anything, it may not be a factory. You're not altering anything, it may not be a factory. You're not doing packing of anything, it may not be a factory. Okay, but your premise would be governed by an act called the Shop and Establishment Act. है ना? तो ये जो ऑफिसेज है, जितने भी दुकानें हैं, they are governed by Shops and Establishment Act. Okay, similar to Factories Act, but applicable to non-manufacturing process industries or areas. है ना? तो जितने भी ऑफिसेज हैं, these offices are covered under the Shops and Establishment Act. Warehouse, independent warehouse, cold storage. Cold storage सुना है?
Yes, sir.
नहीं?
Yes.
बहुत सारा प्याज सीजन में हो गया इकट्ठा, सीजन में बहुत सारा प्याज इकट्ठा हो गया तो सड़ जाएगा पड़े पड़े, तो उसको प्रिजर्व करने के लिए आपको उसको कहीं रखना पड़ेगा ना, कोल्ड स्टोरेज में. So I'm sorry for this intermittent pauses. There are some medical concerns. Therefore, okay. So Factories Act, and then all these offices, they are covered under the Shops and Establishment Act. Okay. Now, who is worker? कर्मचारी कौन है? Who is a worker? In each act, there is a section called definition. Section 2 generally speaks about the definition or the keyword used in that particular act. Okay. So when we talk about factory, we said numbers, power, and other things, processes. So then there is a term called worker. Now, who is a worker? कर्मचारी कौन है? ऐसा कोई भी आदमी जो किसी दिए हुए समय पे आपके कार्य क्षेत्र में आपकी जानकारी में या जानकारी के बिना, पैसा लेके या बिना पैसे के काम कर रहा हो या नहीं कर रहा, इज ए वर्कर. A person employed directly or through any agency. है ना, घर में हम बर्तन धोते हैं कभी कभी, बट हमने काम वाले रखे हैं, है ना, मेड और हाउस सर्वेंट. दे कम एंड देन दे डू योर रूटीन कोर्स, साफ सफाई, कचरा पोता, झाड़ू, बर्तन वगैरह वगैरह. So they are workers for you, and you are the employer. Employer is the one who hires, है ना, जो नौकरी पे रखता है is an employer, और जो नौकरी कर रहा है वो employee, है ना. So in this act, the definition of worker is very explicit. Any person employed डायरेक्टली और थ्रू एनी एजेंसी, आपने खुद काम पे रखा है या किसी और के द्वारा रखा गया है ना. जैसे
Yes, sir.
आपके स्कूल या कॉलेजेस में जो प्रोफेसर्स हैं, टीचर्स हैं, दे आर कॉलेज स्टाफ. The permanent employees, right? Yes or no? The professors, teachers in the school or college, they are permanent staff paid by the school or college.
Yes, sir, but not permanent. I mean, they go sometimes.
आप निकाल देते उनको अलग करके, नहीं चाहिए नहीं चाहिए.
Some are contractual, so
Correct. Now what does contractual means?
basically they are there for a specific time period. So once
Okay.
their contract is over, then they no longer provide services to the organization unless or until the contract is renewed.
Okay. So anybody, whether it is your direct employee और कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल, मतलब किसी और को बीच में रख के आपने आदमी रखे, है ना. जैसे नगर निगम में सफाई कर्मचारी या कॉलेज के लैब में असिस्टेंट या आपको लाने ले जाने के लिए जो बस वगैरह इस्तेमाल होती है उसके ड्राइवर, दे आर नॉट कॉलेज एम्प्लॉइज, है ना. कॉलेज ने किसी ट्रैवल एजेंसी को कॉन्ट्रैक्ट दे दिया कि भाई ये बच्चे हैं, इनको लाना है ले जाना है, आपकी जिम्मेदारी, आपको साल का इतना पैसा मिलेगा, इतना ट्रिप, राइट. सो सम सर्विसेज आर आउटसोर्स्ड, किसी और को दे दिया. तो आपकी कंपनी में, आपकी फैक्ट्री में, आपके प्रीमाइस में कोई भी आदमी जिसको आपने खुद हायर किया है या किसी के माध्यम से रखा गया है, आपकी जानकारी में, आपकी जानकारी के बिना, सो वेदर प्रिंसिपल नोज और डज नॉट नो कि एक ड्राइवर मेरा एक गाड़ी पे लगा हुआ है, वो बाहर का आदमी है, कंपनी का नहीं है, becomes a workman for school or college. Okay, whether for remuneration or not, चाहे पैसा मिल रहा हो या नहीं मिल रहा हो सकता है फ्री में काम कर रहा है, सेवा कर रहा है, बट अगर आपकी प्रीमाइस में है तो ही इज ए वर्कर. डायरेक्ट प्रोडक्शन में जुड़ा हो, डायरेक्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में जुड़ा हो, या ऐसे किसी भी काम पे हो जो प्रोडक्शन से जुड़ा हुआ है. कॉलेज में पढ़ाने के लिए सिक्योरिटी गार्ड का जरूरत है? क्या जरूरत है? सिक्योरिटी थोड़ी पढ़ाती है.
No, sir.
नॉट रिक्वायर्ड ना. फिर भी रखते हैं ना, क्यों?
To keep the campus and all people associated safe.
है ना, ताकि तुम लोग कल जब दंगा करो, तोड़फोड़ नहीं चाहिए, नहीं चाहिए, नहीं चलेगी, तो प्रिंसिपल साहब को बचाने के लिए कोई चाहिए ना. So that is his job is not directly connected with teaching, but is not directly teaching, but is connected with the profession or the process of the institution, right? So therefore he also becomes a workman, right? Is it interesting? You people like this?
Yes, sir.
It is interesting. और पूरे एचआर में यही एक ऐसा विषय है जो जैसा लिखा है वैसा ही होता है ना? बाकी सब अपना अपना ज्ञान से करते हैं। मैन पावर
Yes.
प्लानिंग का कोई थियरी इस्तेमाल करे या नहीं करे, ट्रेनिंग एंड डेवलपमेंट का कोई थियरी इस्तेमाल करे ना करे, वेदर यू फॉलो किर्कपैट्रिक और नॉट, वेदर यू फॉलो एडी और नॉट, बट यही एक ऐसा सेक्शन है जिसमें आपको दिमाग लगाने का जरूरत नहीं है। जैसा लिखा है ऐसा ही करना है, कैसे करना है वो भी लिखा है, रिपोर्ट कैसे करोगे वो भी लिखा है। तो खाली हमको ये करना है कि जैसा लिखा है वो होता रहे, है ना? तो इसलिए जनरली एचआर प्रोफेशनल कॉम्प्लायंस को अवॉइड करते हैं। कौन इतना सब याद रखे, कौन सा कानून है, न कौन सा सेक्शन है, न कौन सा फॉर्म भरना पड़ेगा, न इतना सब याद रखने का झंझट है। बट आई थिंक दिस इज द इजीएस्ट एरिया फॉर एनी एचआर प्रोफेशनल। उसको कुछ याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है। 4 मोटी मोटी कानून की किताबें पास में रखो, जैसे ही कोई मसला आता है पन्ना पलटो, देखो क्या लिखा है, इंटरप्रेट अकॉर्डिंग टू योर बेनिफिट और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बेनिफिट एंड एक्ट अकॉर्डिंग, है ना? So the definition of worker, again, this definition of worker is not standard. Definition of worker is not standard across acts. हर एक्ट में वर्कर का डेफिनेशन अलग अलग हो सकता है। तो हम किस एक्ट्स के रिलेवेंस में बात कर रहे हैं उसके हिसाब से उस एक्ट का डेफिनेशन रेफर करना पड़ेगा। कहीं वर्कर होगा, कहीं वर्कमैन होगा, कहीं एम्प्लॉय होगा, है ना? अलग अलग टर्मिनोलॉजीज यूज किया होगा। अलग अलग एक्ट में इसका डेफिनेशन अलग अलग हो सकता है। फैमिली का डेफिनेशन अलग अलग एक्ट में अलग अलग हो सकता है। तो किस एक्ट को हम रेफर कर रहे हैं उसके हिसाब से डेफिनेशन रेफर करना पड़ेगा, है ना? फैक्ट्रीज एक्ट का वर्कर इंडस्ट्रियल डिस्प्यूट एक्ट के वर्कर में नहीं चलेगा। The definition of factory, definition of family in Factories Act may not be the same as the definition of family in Payment of Bonus or Gratuity Act, right? So for Factories Act, this is what a worker means: anybody who is in your premise working in any area which is directly or indirectly connected with the manufacturing process for remuneration or not, whether in your information or not, by you or by anybody else, is a worker, right? तो गेट के अंदर जो भी आ गया वो वर्कर है। ओके, इज इट क्लियर? सो द सीईओ ऑफ द फैक्ट्री इज आल्सो ए वर्कर। हाउसकीपिंग झाड़ू मारने वाला भी वर्कर, अकाउंट मैनेजर भी वर्कर, एचआर मैनेजर भी वर्कर। यस और नो?
Yes, sir.
है ना? So as per Factory Act, everybody is a worker, है ना? चाहे वो सीईओ हो, चाहे मैनेजर हो, एचओडी हो, आप हो, मैं हूं, कोई भी हो, everybody is a worker. Okay. Then other responsible persons, there is a term called occupier. Occupier मतलब मालिक, ठीक है? तो अगर प्राइवेट फर्म है, प्रोप्राइटरशिप फर्म है, तो उसका प्रोप्राइटर मालिक होगा, ऑक्यूपायर होगा। पार्टनरशिप फर्म है तो कोई भी एक पार्टनर ऑक्यूपायर हो सकता है। कंपनी है तो डायरेक्टर, मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर ऑक्यूपायर हो सकते हैं। स्टेट गवर्नमेंट है तो सरकार ने इसको मनोनीत किया है, वो ऑक्यूपायर होगा। ऑक्यूपायर क्यों चाहिए? Why an occupier is required? मकान मालिक नहीं होगा तो तो मकान मालिक अगर नहीं है तो क्या होगा? चल
सर क्योस हो जाएगा, लाइक थिंग्स वोंट बी रेगुलेटेड.
ओके, और क्या हो सकता है?
कोई रेंट नहीं देगा.
ओके, और
सर फिर वापस जाने पे वो बाथरूम की टोटी तोड़ के लेके चले जाएंगे।
यस सर, दीवार पे बच्चे पेंट कर देते हैं, मतलब पेंसिल से सब ड्राइंग कर देंगे.
ओके, सो घर का सत्यानाश हो जाएगा, है ना? इफ इट इज एन एबंडेंट प्रॉपर्टी, नोबडी इज नो, अगर कोई उसका मालिक नहीं है तो उसकी दशा बिगड़ जाती है ना? तो जो किराएदार होगा उस घर की ऐसी तैसी कर देगा. ओके ओके, सिमिलर थिंग इज इन फैक्ट्री. अगर कुछ होगा, अगर फैक्ट्री में कुछ होगा तो जिम्मेदारी कौन लेगा? हु इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल, है ना? So the occupier is a person who is responsible for the operation of the organization, है ना? तो जो प्राइवेटली ओन फॉर्म्स हैं उसपे तो मालिक ही होते हैं, सेठ जी, दे आर ऑक्यूपायर्स, बराबर. बट जो पब्लिक लिमिटेड है या लिमिटेड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जहां पर डायरेक्टर है, बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर है, चेयरमैन है, so there someone has to be held responsible or accountable for that factory operations. That person becomes the occupier. So in case of anything wrong, किसको पकड़ेगा कोर्ट? कानून किसको पकड़ेगा? ऑक्यूपायर को पकड़ेगा. Okay, so occupier is a person who is responsible and accountable to ensure smooth operations of the organization. ठीक है? Then comes manager, who is a person responsible to the occupier for working in the factory. He has to be nominated by occupier. तो आपकी फैक्ट्री में बहुत सारे मैनेजर हो सकते हैं. There are hundred of people designated as manager, but there has to be one person designated as factory manager. Okay. For implication of law, there has to be someone authorized as a factory manager. तो अगर हम कुछ नॉन कॉम्प्लायंस कर रहे हैं, अगर कुछ चीजें, कोई कायदे कानून है जो फॉलो नहीं हो रहे हैं, तो अकाउंटेबिलिटी विल लाई विद फैक्ट्री मैनेजर, है ना? इन केस ऑफ एनी इंसिडेंट, फैक्ट्री मैनेजर इज हेल्ड रिस्पॉन्सिबल. इन केस ऑफ एनी मेजर फैटल इंसिडेंट और एक्सीडेंट, ऑक्यूपायर इज हेल्ड रिस्पॉन्सिबल. फॉर डिफॉल्ट, फैक्ट्री मैनेजर एंड ऑक्यूपायर विल बी हेल्ड रिस्पॉन्सिबल. अपने टाइम पे पेमेंट नहीं किया, वेजेस ठीक से नहीं दे रहे हैं, नॉन कॉम्प्लायंस है, वर्किंग कंडीशन ठीक नहीं है, so then the notice will be issued or someone will be issued in the name of occupier or managers, right? So occupier is malik, manager एक ऐसा आदमी जिसको मालिक ने अपनी नीचे अपॉइंट किया है इस फैक्ट्री का कारोबार संभालने के लिए. So he is a legal representative of the organization, है ना? Other definitions, section 2 of this act speaks about other definitions. Adult, a person who has completed his 18 years of age, section 2A. Adolescent, who has completed 15 years but not an adult, है ना? तो जो ट्रेनी है, apprentices हैं, ITI, they all come in adolescent. जिनकी उम्र अभी 18 साल नहीं है, so they cannot be a permanent employee. However, for certain activities, we hire them. For a training purpose, we recruit them. So adolescent. Calendar year, a period of 12 months beginning with the first day of the January any year. Okay. Calendar year का जरूरत पड़ेगा जब the section related to leave with wages करके जो section है उसमें calendar year करके एक term है. So the calendar year is nothing but 1st January to 31st December. Child, जो 15 साल से कम है, और young person who is adolescent or child, है ना? जैसे जो ITI वगैरह है या डिप्लोमा पढ़ने के बाद 10th के बाद में डिप्लोमा किया, 10th के बाद IIT किया, ITI किया, so their age is not 18 plus. Okay, but still they are hired as an apprentice sometimes 10th pass 12th pass बच्चे होंगे, उसको आप for certain purpose for certain time period company hires, है ना, as an intern they will take, paid or not paid. Okay, so they come under the category of young person, and according to their category their working conditions and working environment, working hours are variable. Okay, what are the other sections and what they talk about? Chapter 3 talks about health. Chapter 3 talks about health, and section 11 to section 20 are in chapter 3. Cleanliness, disposal of waste and effluents, ventilation and temperature, dust and fume, artificial humidification, overcrowding, lighting, drinking water, latrines and urinals, and spittoons. एक्ट में ये सारी चीजें मेंशन है कि आपकी फैक्ट्री में वेंटिलेशन कैसा होना चाहिए, आप जहां काम कर रहे हैं वो जगह कितनी बड़ी होनी चाहिए, मिनिमम कितना स्पेस चाहिए, 2 वर्कर के बीच में कितना स्पेस होना चाहिए, आपका जो प्रेमाइस है वहां कितने यूरिनल्स होने चाहिए, रेस्ट हाउस होना चाहिए कि नहीं होना चाहिए, लाइटिंग कितना चाहिए, ल्यूमिनेक्स कितना चाहिए. Okay, so all these things have been mentioned in this act. Now, the assignment for you is, you will go through the Factories Act and your state's rule. The Factories Rule UP, okay, or whatever state you are in, or maybe Delhi or Haryana. Gurgaon is in Haryana. You can refer Haryana. Okay. So the Factories Act and Factories Rule. And find out what are the exact numbers for everything. Okay. So it is explicitly mentioned there that what could be the numbers in a premise, what is the minimum space required, how many urinals, when the canteen is required, how the lighting will be, what will be the drinking water, potable water, kitne distance पे होना चाहिए, कितना होना चाहिए, कैसा होना चाहिए, everything is mentioned in the rule. In case you fail to find the Factories Rule for UP, you find the Factories Rule, the Gujarat State Factories Rule. I think it is 1972 or something. Okay. So the act and rule, read carefully and find out the specifics for all these sections. Okay. What is written for cleanliness? What is written for ventilation? How the waste is disposed? What are the conditions for lighting? What does overcrowding means? Yeah. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God, इतना मुश्किल काम दे दिया. सबकी आवाजें दब गई. Tired? No. No.
No, sir.
सच बोल दिया करो अगर थक गए हो. Chapter 4 and 4A. 4A is an amendment which was added later on. This talks about safety. So workplace safety is chapter 4 and 4A. Section 21 to 41. There are 20 sections which talks about workplace safety. Okay. इतना डिटेल में पढ़ने का अभी जरूरत नहीं है ना, but at least you have these impressions imprinted with you कि अगर सेफ्टी रिलेटेड मैटर तो कौन सा एक्ट रेफर करना है ना, अगर वेलफेयर या हेल्थ रिलेटेड मैटर है तो कौन सा सेक्शन रेफर करना है, एटलीस्ट इतना पता होना चाहिए। ओपन बुक एग्जाम सुना है ओपन बुक एग्जाम?
सर हम लोग 2 साल से
सर हम
वही
लोग
दे रहे हैं।
यस सर,
हैं 2 साल से ओपन बुक दे रहे हो?
यस
हाँ जी सर।
ओके, तो 100% मार्क्स आते हैं?
नहीं,
क्यों?
उतने भी नहीं
एवरेज
यस सर, उतने भी नहीं आते जितने ऑफलाइन में आते।
क्यों ऐसा?
एवरेज मार्किंग होती है सर, लाइक ऐसे ही दे देते हैं लोग मार्क्स।
अच्छा, तो आप कितना भी लिखो मार्क्स उतने मिलता है ऐसा?
यस।
यस सर,
Okay. बट 100% पेपर सॉल्व होता है? मेहनत
Yes,
उतनी
sir.
करते हो? मेहनत उतनी करते हो?
नहीं नहीं।
नहीं ना, क्यों करना ना, किताब में तो देख लेंगे। यस और नो?
यस सर।
ओके, बट स्टिल वी आर नॉट एबल टू स्कोर द वे वी स्कोर इन ए नॉर्मल एग्जामिनेशन, है ना, बिकॉज हम एग्जाम के पहले एटलीस्ट किताब खोल के ये भी नहीं देखते कि कौन से चैप्टर में क्या लिखा है, राइट? तो जब क्वेश्चन पेपर आता है तो पहला काम हमको पन्ना पलटना पड़ता है कि यार ये साला कहाँ है। सो योर मेजॉरिटी टाइम गोज इन सर्चिंग द आंसर और चैप्टर। फिर मुश्किल हो अगर चैप्टर मिलेगा तो देन सवाल ढूंढोगे कि इसमें जवाब है कि नहीं है।
Sir, sometimes we even make notes during the exam only.
शिक्षा का स्तर कहां से कहां आ गया। Okay, but then what I'm saying is if you have not studied it any time और ओपन बुक एग्जाम आ जाएगा ना तो भी आप उतना एफिशिएंटली एग्जाम नहीं दे पाते, क्योंकि आपका मेजॉरिटी टाइम ये ढूंढने में चला जाता है कि ये सवाल कौन से चैप्टर में है, और हम कॉम्प्लिसेंट रहते ना कि किताब तो साथ में लेके जाना है तो क्यों पढ़ना। तो इसीलिए ये एक्ट सेक्शन अभी याद रखना इसके लिए जरूरी है कि कम से कम इतना तो पता चलेगा कि क्या रेफर करना है, कौन सी किताब खोलनी है। रोज भले खाना मत बनाए लेकिन रेसिपी याद रहना चाहिए, है ना, हर चीज में गरम मसाला नहीं पड़ता है, तो कम से कम इतना दिमाग में रहना चाहिए। स्पेसिफिक क्या है वो उसकी रेसिपी पढ़ के हम बाद में देख सकते हैं, बट नमक स्वादानुसार वो स्टैंडर्ड है, आप कुछ भी बनाए दैट इज यूनिफॉर्म। ओके, so these acts you can remember that why these acts can be used or when this can be used. So chapter 4 and 4A is an amendment, therefore it is a 4A. It talks about safety. There are 20 sections: fencing of the machinery, cart, gear, hoist and lifts, revolving machinery, pressure plants, explosives, safety of building and machinery, appointment of safety officer and maintenance of building, 40A and 40B. ये जो दो प्रोविजंस है, these provisions were amended, ये बाद में लाए गए। सेक्शन 40 था सेफ्टी ऑफ बिल्डिंग एंड मशीनरी, बट देन अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ सेफ्टी ऑफिसर, हम किसको सेफ्टी ऑफिसर रख सकते हैं, कब उसकी जरूरत है, क्या उसका क्वालिफिकेशन होगा, all this has been mentioned in section 40B, and maintenance of building section 40A. So amendment and power to make rules to supplement this chapter is section 41. तो रिस्पेक्टिव स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को यह अधिकार है कि वो और ज्यादा कड़े नियम बना सकते हैं, है ना। Chapter 5 talks about welfare. Welfare मतलब basic amenities and basic facilities, washing, storing and drying clothes, facilities for sitting, first aid, canteen, shelter, crèche and welfare officer. Okay. Section 42 to 49, chapter 5. तो जो असाइनमेंट अभी हमने लिखा ना 11 से 20 वाला specifics, so you add chapter 5 also in that assignment. So chapter 3 and chapter 5 refer the act and rule. कैंटीन कब जरूरी है, क्रच कब जरूरी है, वेलफेयर ऑफिसर का क्या प्री रिक्विजिट्स है ना। व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय वॉशिंग फैसिलिटी? आप कपड़े धो सकते हैं क्या? घर से ले जाके वहां धो सकते हो क्या? व्हाट इज द प्रोविजन और व्हाई इट इज देयर, राइट? व्हाट डज कैंटीन मीन? सो रेफर द एक्ट एंड रूल, वी विल डिस्कस इट, है ना? Certain provisions: washing facilities separately for men and women, separate room for men and women for drying clothes, separate restroom for men and women, first aid boxes, ambulance room, that is a medical room, canteen for use of workers where 250 or more are employed. ठीक है ना? But then you still go through what canteen is, what crèche is, why it is required, when it becomes applicable. ठीक है? Chapter 6 talks about working hours for adults. Okay, working hours for adults. कितने घंटे काम होना चाहिए, रोज कितना घंटा करेंगे, हफ्ते में कितना घंटा होगा, व्हाट इज द कॉम्पनसेशन ऑफ एक्स्ट्रा वर्किंग, राइट? वुमन कब काम नहीं कर सकती हैं, शिफ्ट ओवरलैप कब नहीं कर सकते हैं, व्हाट इज स्प्रेड ओवर, व्हाट आर द वीकली आवर्स. सो इट्स एक्ट सेज दैट आप हफ्ते में 48 घंटे से ज्यादा काम नहीं कर सकते. 48 आवर्स से ज्यादा आप काम नहीं कर सकते, ऐसा एक्ट बोलता है. हर 7 दिन में 1 दिन छुट्टी होना चाहिए, बराबर? अगर आप छुट्टी के दिन काम कर रहे हो तो आपको कंपनसेटरी ऑफ मिलना चाहिए. रोज आपके काम करने के घंटे 10.5 घंटे से ज्यादा नहीं होने चाहिए. टोटल जितना भी आपका वर्किंग आवर्स है उसके बीच में इंटरवल होना चाहिए. ऑलराइट? अगर आपने एक्स्ट्रा काम किया तो उसका एक्स्ट्रा पैसा मिलना चाहिए. अच्छा, एक्स्ट्रा पैसा कितना मिलना चाहिए, कैसे मिलना चाहिए, वो भी इस एक्ट में डिफाइन है. ओवर टाइम इज ए वर्ड विच इज यूज्ड, है ना, फॉर पेमेंट ऑफ एक्स्ट्रा वर्क. So chapter 7 working hours for adults, section 51 to 66. Chapter 7 employment of young person, section 67 से 77. आप किसको नौकरी रख सकते हैं, किसको नहीं रख सकते. रखेंगे तो उसको काम करने का क्या तरीका होगा, what could be the working condition applicable to young person. Now what is young person? Who is young person?
Less than 18.
Okay, or
Either child or adolescent.
child or adolescent. And who is adolescent?
Who has completed 15 but not 18 years of age.
Correct. Perfect. Okay. So young person is child and adolescent. Child who is below 15 years. Adolescent is who is between 15 and 18. So therefore, you may say that young person is anybody who is below 18. है ना? अर्थात therefore ये सिद्ध हुआ. Okay. So chapter 7 employment of young person. Chapter 8 annual leave with wages. Section 77 to 84. किसको कितनी छुट्टी मिलनी चाहिए, कब छुट्टी एप्लीकेबल है, what does it mean, what does annual leave with wages means. Okay. कायदा ये कहता है कि हर आदमी को 20 दिन के बाद एक छुट्टी का अधिकार है. For every 20 days of working, you are entitled for 1 day's paid leave. है ना? तो कभी ये टर्म सुना होगा, पेड लीव, अर्न लीव, PL, सुना है ना? So there is
Yes,
no
sir.
provision of CL, SL, and any other leave except maternity. So in Act there is only one kind of leave mentioned, and that leave is paid leave, yeah, earned leave. Okay. So the Act says that anybody who has worked for 240 days in an year is entitled for paid leaves at the rate of 1 leave per 20 days of work. है ना? तो अगर किसी ने साल में 240 दिन से ज्यादा काम किया है तो उसको हर 20 दिन पे 1 दिन का छुट्टी मिलने का, लेने का अधिकार है. Okay. So that comes in this annual leave with wages, chapter 8. Chapter 9 talks about special provisions. Exemption देना है, notices देना है, occupational health related कोई point लेना है. 88A again is an amendment. Chapter 10 talks about penalties and procedures. इस एक्ट को एप्लीकेबल ना करने में अगर कुछ अड़चने हैं या नहीं किया है, टाइम पे रिपोर्ट्स नहीं सबमिट किए हैं, तो क्या पेनल्टीज हो सकती है. ओके, फर्स्ट ऑफेंस होगा तो क्या पेनल्टी, सेकंड ऑफेंस होगा तो, थर्ड ऑफेंस होगा तो, ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर मेंशन्ड इन चैप्टर 10. चैप्टर 11 is a supplemental chapter, section 107 to 120, which talks about appealing. अगर कोई केस दर्ज हुआ है तो उस केस के सामने आप कैसे अपील कर सकते हैं, आप किस कोर्ट में जा सकते हैं, कहाँ अपनी चीजों को रिप्रेजेंट कर सकते हैं, कैसे कर सकते हैं. एनुअल रिटर्न मतलब रिपोर्ट्स. इस एक्ट से रिलेटेड जो भी कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन सरकार को आपको देना है, उसका फॉर्मेट क्या है, कब देना है, पीरियडिसिटी क्या है, इस रूल को पब्लिसाइज करने के लिए क्या क्या प्रोविजंस है, that everything is in chapter 11. Okay, so total 11 chapters and 120 sections, yeah, provisions, all right, in the Factories Act. Schedules are annexures, है ना? Schedules are annexures which have the specific information. तो फर्स्ट शेड्यूल जो है, पहला एनेक्शर सप्लीमेंट्री, उसमें वो सब इंडस्ट्रीज के नाम है जिसमें हैजार्डस प्रोसेसेस कैटेगराइज किए गए, है ना. तो कुछ प्रोसेस ऐसे हैं जो नॉर्मल है, कुछ ऐसे हैं जो हैजार्डस हैं, जहां पे रिस्क ज्यादा है. सेकंड शेड्यूल जो है, उसमें परमिसिबल लेवल ऑफ सर्टेन केमिकल सब्सटेंस इन द वर्क एनवायरनमेंट, क्या चल सकता है, कितना गैस निकल रहा होगा तो चलेगा. भोपाल गैस ट्रेजेडी मालूम है ना?
Yes, sir.
भोपाल गैस. ओके, उसके बाद बहुत चेंजेस आए. आफ्टर दैट इंडस्ट्रियल एक्सीडेंट देयर वर मेनी चेंजेस इन द एक्ट्स एंड लॉज. ओके, एंड सेफ्टी बिकेम अ प्राइम इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इन दैट. देन शेड्यूल 3 टॉक्स अबाउट लिस्ट ऑफ नोटिफाइबल डिजीजेस. ऐसी कौन कौन सी बीमारियां हैं जो ऑक्यूपेशनल है. ऑक्यूपेशनल मतलब आपके काम से रिलेटेड हो सकती है. जैसे टिम्बर मार्ट देखा है, टिम्बर मार्ट, लकड़ी का आरा देखा है, लकड़ी काटने का मशीन.
Yes,
घर में कारपेंटर को काम करते हुए देखा है,
sir.
रंदा मारता है देखा है, पॉलिश लकड़ी को स्मूथ करने के लिए रंदा मारता है देखा है.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है ना. तो जब ये सब प्रोसेस होते हैं तो भूसी उड़ता है, स्मॉल डस्ट पार्टिकल्स. होता है कि नहीं होता है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
है ना. उससे क्या हो सकता है, व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम? What it can do?
Lung infection maybe, because breathing के साथ it will coincide. When we are walking, you'll inhale the particles.
Perfect. So when you're working, you can inhale those particles and it may affect your respiratory system or lungs, right? For the timber, it is an occupational disease. Okay, गुड़गांव के ऑफिस में बैठ के आपको रेस्पिरेटरी प्रॉब्लम हो गया, ओके, एंड यू क्लेम दैट ये बीमारी मुझे आपके यहाँ काम करने से हुई है. जस्टिफाइबल?
Yes, sir.
No. नहीं ना. The work environment is not that can cause you this kind of sickness, है ना. But high BP हो सकता है, ऑफिस एनवायरनमेंट में ब्लड प्रेशर हो सकता है. So certain diseases are occupational diseases, categorically mentioned that these diseases are because of the work environment. आप हाई नॉइज एरिया में अगर लगातार काम करेंगे, वर्कशॉप में, रिग में, है ना, बॉयलर के पास, तो धीमे धीमे शनै शनै आपके सुनने की शक्ति कम हो जाएगी, है ना. सो हियरिंग इम्पेयरमेंट इज एन occupational disease. तो आंशिक रूप से बहरे हो जाएंगे, पूरे बहरे हो जाएंगे, ये सब हो सकता है. तो ऐसी कौन कौन सी बीमारियां हैं वो इस शेड्यूल 3 में लिखा हुआ है. ठीक है. So this is the brief or crux about the Factories Act. What we covered today. हमने आज क्या क्या बात किया? Can you quickly recap this? Yeah, Vanshika, what is the learning for the day?
So we learned about history and evolution of HR and how when it started, and then we moved to labor laws, specifically talked about factory laws today.
Okay. Yeah, Apurva.
Yes, the evolution of HR as a field, and then its importance, its growing importance in today's business and companies. Then, sir, regarding the labor laws, what exactly our constitution says about the working conditions and the way workers, or even the both employees and employers, how they have to behave in a factory or under a premise while working. So, and specifically we talked about factories laws.
Okay. Yeah, Prerna.
Adding on to what all like they have said, so the definition of worker and manager, occupier, all these definitions, and specifically covering the sections, like briefly covering the sections and all the pointers under the Factories Act.
Okay. Yes, Garvita.
So we talked about evolution of HRM and then 4 codes. Then after that, we talked about Factories Act, objective of it, definitions, who are occupier and manager, then adult, adolescent, calendar year, child, young persons. Then we talk about chapter 3 to chapter 11, which chapter consists of a topic, and then about the schedule.
Great, great. Tripti. Oh, absconding. Okay. And what are the assignments?
So the first one is ki, what are the things that come under manufacturing? That is that, and regarding the Factories Act.
Correct. So 2 chapters.
Chapter 3 and chapter 5.
Chapter 3 and chapter 5. So whatever sections they've been mentioned, for those sections, find out the specifics. Just a canteen, for example. So when canteen, when it is applicable, what does canteen mean? Okay, is it cooking and serving, or is it a place to sit and eat? घर से टिफिन लेके जाएंगे और वहां बैठ के खाएंगे तो कैंटीन नहीं है, you know. Or crèche. So why this crèche is required? What are the specifics? All right. So use you can of course Google, that is the relevant source. These acts are available on the Google. Rules are also available. Refer your respective state's rule. If not available, then you can refer any rule available, just for your understanding. Okay. And then we'll discuss. So we discuss this tomorrow or in the next session? I think in the next session. Yeah. Tomorrow we'll talk about another act, the payment of bonus. I think. Yeah. Okay. So the payment of bonus act, we speak tomorrow. If you have any question, please.
Sir, I want to say something. Tripti just texted, her night is expired. That's
Who?
why. Tripti,
Who expired?
her data.
Oh my God. Okay, night pack expired. My God, net pack expired.
Sir,
He
I had a
just
question.
texted.
Sorry.
He just texted
You
to
just
inform
texted.
you.
Okay, okay. But then you also inform her that we have concluded the class. ऐसा नहीं चलेगा, क्वेश्चन पूछते टाइम पे नेट पैक एक्सपायर हो गया ऐसा बोल के नहीं चलेगा. Okay, so share these assignments among yourselves. First one is with discussion, right? So you all discuss among yourself, make one single slide, anybody can present. And the rest, the rules wala portion, you all do on your own, and that we'll discuss in the coming session. Okay. Any advice for me? मेरे लिए कोई सलाह, कोई area of improvement?
Sir,
Yes.
I had a question. What's the difference between factory and company?
Okay. So Act talks about factory. Okay. The company is a term in financial. There is a Companies Act. Companies Act 1952, I think, which talks about the softer aspects of manufacturing processes. Okay, and factory talks about the manufacturing process, people, and working conditions. We use all these terms interchangeably. But as far as the Act is concerned, factory is a premise. When they say premise, it must have a boundary. Okay, company may not have a boundary. A company can be anywhere. I am a owner of a company which is operating at home, no premise. But factory as a premise, so fixed piece of land with a fencing or area demarc with 10 or more people with power, 20 or more people without power, associated or connected in any manufacturing process is a factory. So we generally use these words as interchangeable. So event management is a company, it is not a factory. Whatever the name may be. Young Skill India is a company, not a factory. Okay. There are certain rules and regulations are applicable to Young Skill India also. Okay, but Factory Act is not applicable because it is not a factory. It's clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Fine. So if you don't have a question, अपनी वाणी को विश्राम दूंगा मैं. And then see you tomorrow around same time. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye. Good night.
Good night, sir.